Welcome to Boris Effects Live. Sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations. Create without limits. And by NVIDIA. And Intel.
Hello and welcome to Boris Effects Live. My name is Ben Brownlee and I am here to help guide you through today's topic, which is Sapphire 2021. So we're going to be taking a look at all the new features that we have available with Sapphire 2021. And as we are live, we are expecting a lot of feedback for these exciting new features and tools that we have. And we're expecting that feedback coming from you here live today. So if you do want to get started, then head over to boriseffectslive.com and you can start to join in the chat there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also use the YouTube chat and we will see and answer those questions as well. We also have a big prize coming up today as well. So you could win a 12-month subscription of the Boris Effects Suite. That's a $1,295 value. And that includes everything we make, including new Sapphire, new Continuum, the new Mocha Pro, new Silhouette, and Optics, of course. So that is a huge, huge prize for one lucky winner today. So how do you win? Well, you head on over to boriseffectslive.com and you go down to the bottom and choose which way you want to actually join in the competition. It's all very nice and easy. Just read through all the terms and conditions and join our competition right there. I also want to say thank you to our friends NVIDIA, Dell and Intel for helping to make this live stream possible. We are working on the Dell Precision Workstations, the #1 workstation brand in the world. That's what's helping to power these live streams, and we are very happy to have Dell as a sponsor on these streams themselves. But that's not all. You can also join in the socials by going to boriseffects.com or joining our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram pages. And that way you can keep up with all the latest news, product tutorials, and the live streams such as the ones we're doing today. But that is not all. We have also extended the Black Friday sale with up to 50% off of all products. So that's 50% off of new permanent bundles, 25% off of all other new products, including subscriptions, renewals, and single licenses. But of course, for full terms and conditions, visit boriseffects.com and take a look at the T's and the C's. All right, so without any further ado, let's have a look at what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be taking a look at Sapphire 2021. We're going to be taking a look at the new metal support for Apple, which gives us greatly improved speeds. We're going to be looking at some of the new lens flare features. We're going to be taking a look, most importantly, at our two new plugins. This really, really exciting plugins. We have Ultra Glow and Ultra Zap. So I can't do this all by myself. So let's see who I have joining me. We have from across the world, we have John Dickinson, our director of motion graphics. Hello, John.
Hey, Ben. How's it going? We dance again?
We do. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been quite nice. Not, having the break, but but been quite nice having you back again.
Not seeing you for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's always good. I mean, let's be fair. We also have, let's not get distracted there. We also have Alan Lorence, who is the Sapphire product manager. Hello, Alan.
Hello, everybody.
So, yeah, he is definitely the perfect person to start asking your Sapphire questions to. But we also have in mission control over on the ones and twos. We have Brian Fox, our Director of Marketing and Sapphire Connoisseur. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Ben. Hello, Alan. Hello, John. Good to see you guys. We're going to have a fun one today. We're going to talk about new Sapphires, so always a fun time.
It's going to be great. I think then, now we've said hello to everyone, I think we should get going with the first item. And I think probably one of the ones that people have been most excited for is going to be the metal support. So I'm going to hand over to Brian, and he is going to be talking a little bit about metal support and what that means for Sapphire. So Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Ben. Everybody strap in, as I will be directing this live stream and trying to talk. So I am horrible at doing both. So we're gonna strap in and good luck to everyone out there. So, as Ben mentioned, one of the big improvements in Sapphire 2020 we added, something we're super excited about, is metal GPU support. Now, for all of you that don't know, or just a quick primer on kind of where Sapphire is with GPU support, for many years, way before my time, Alan, you may know when we actually added CUDA support. That was like Sapphire 6, maybe? Sapphire 5?
I don't know. Yeah. No, it was before me even, so yeah.
A long time ago. Sapphire has, for GPU support, been CUDA only. So what does that really mean? It really means that to get GPU support in Sapphire, you needed a CUDA card, which is inherently an NVIDIA-based card. So you need a card by NVIDIA, and many years ago, that we saw NVIDIA cards in Mac Pros, we saw NVIDIA cards in high-end PCs and Linux stations. Fast forward to 2020, right? And as we all know, like really, there are no more modern Macs which you can add a NVIDIA card to with a proper Apple driver. So for the past, 6 to 7 years, if you've been on a Mac, you've really had no GPU support. Now, to many people, that wasn't a big issue. Sapphire is a really fast set of code, and operating on CPU only is still blazing fast. But of course, we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to make Sapphire faster. So we went ahead and added in metal support. Now, it doesn't replace CUDA. It's just a completely separate code path in addition to the CUDA acceleration. So if you're on a PC or on a Linux with an NVIDIA card, your CUDA is fine. But for a Macintosh users, when you download the Mac installers with 2021, you now are going to see metal acceleration within Sapphire. So I have a little video I'm going to play and talk over, and really kind of what this means. Ooh, I should probably hit the take button there. There we go. So Sapphire, like anytime we talk about speed, acceleration, and numbers, it's always a bit of a kind of kerfluffle because it could mean so many different things, right? Like it really depends when we really talk about numbers, and everyone wants to know how much faster is Sapphire with metal. It depends upon your host app. It can depend upon your CPU. It can depend upon the individual effect, that you're actually using. But on an average, let me go ahead and pause this here on this slide. Sapphire is going to be about 20% faster across the board. So, if you compare Sapphire 2020.5, is that right? Am I totally in? No, yeah. I by the way, I may have not said Sapphire.
No, you're right. You're right.
I may have said Sapphire 2020 before. But so Sapphire 2020.5, if you compare that to Sapphire 2021, you're going to see about a 20% speed increase across the board. That being said, though, let me go ahead and fast forward to the big payoff slide here. Certain Sapphire effects, you're going to see up to a 4x speed increase. Some of these involve like anything to do with lighting, something like edge rays, blur motion, swish pan. It has to do with, how the underlying code works, but there are certain like types of Sapphire which really are blazing fast on metal. And if that Sapphire effect you're using really relies heavily on that piece of code, like I said, you're going to see up to a 4x speed increase, which is super exciting for us, when we get to see something that, rendered in 10 seconds, now renders in 4 seconds or something like along those lines. So just to recap, like on average, Sapphire is about 20% faster end to end, all 270 effects see about a 20% speed increase. And certain effects are big winners in there. Certain effects, like I said, you're going to see up to a 4x speed increase in the lighting category: blur, motion, rays, edge rays, switch pan, shakes. A fun one, shakes had a big speed increase. This is really just the beginning of us with metal. We're really excited. Let me get to a good slide here to stop it. We're really really committed to metal and the Apple platforms also. Like, this is really just the beginning. Like I said, we all know, if you follow, Apple has some really exciting new hardware coming down the pipe in 2021. Supporting metal is really laying the foundational groundwork for us to go ahead and work really in tandem with that new hardware as it comes, which we expect to see some significant speed increases. Really exciting stuff. The new Apple hardware coming, and Sapphire is going to be ready for that. That being said, one other thing to note: Sapphire 2021 is Big Sur ready. So if you are, kind of wild and crazy and are using Big Sur in production, Sapphire 2021 is supported. It works great. Go ahead and feel free to use that as well. So that's the end of my kind of boring GPU kind of nonsense. But this stuff is really important. Like, as we know, like, speed is paramount to anyone who does any sort of production work. Everybody wants to get faster renders, so we're super excited to add it to 2021 new GPU metal support.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think, like, one of the things that when you ask people, what do they want from Sapphire, and everyone will pretty much say, we want what we've got, but can we have it faster? So metal support does exactly that. If you're working on a Mac, it gives you what you had before, plus stuff doing it. Oh yeah, plus it doing all that stuff faster, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So if there are any questions about metal, ask them now. We will loop back to some of these questions later. So either join us on the YouTube channel and go into the chat there, or go to boriseffectslive.com and ask all your questions there instead. So we will see and read all of them. All right. So I think what we'll do now is we'll keep this rolling, because we've got a lot of stuff to try to show in the next hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be now talking a little bit about something that's very close to my heart, which is lens flare. So the Sapphire lens flare, let's just share my screen here. So Sapphire lens flare it's one of those effects that gets an update or gets some new stuff added to it. Pretty much every little release, whether that's new features, or actually it's always going to be new features and new presets. And Sapphire 2021 is no exception to that. So the features that have been added we'll take a little look at those. The features that have been added are, relatively minor features, but what they allow us to do is to get much more realistic flares than we've ever managed to have before. Because to get like a realistic lens flare, it's not just, coming in and, getting one big shape to do something. It's about lots and lots of small, subtle things. And that's really been the focus of creating these new lens flares, is that we've gone in and try to push the tools that we already have to make some new stuff and to make the most sort of realistic flares that we possibly could. And to go along with that, we actually do have 10 new presets. So, here they are, roaming array here. We can only see 9 on the screen at the moment. I did promise 10. Well, the 10th is, come on, where's number 10? There you go. 10th is number there. It's very, very difficult to get a 10 up. 10 boxes all in a row. It's very tricky, very, very tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to head over into to Resolve now, because we're going to be looking at a lot of this stuff in Adobe over the rest of the time. But I think it's important to say that we do support not just, and let's just move that over there. Yeah, we do support not just Adobe products, but Sapphire is OFX. It's available for, available for OFX. It's available for Avid as well. So pretty much wherever you are working, whatever host, we are going to have a Sapphire support for that host. So let's take a look at, maybe take a look at this one here. This is probably a good shot. And I'm going to come in and let's type in lens flare. Let's see what we got. So I have quite a few lens flares. I'm going to come into Sapphire lighting. Let's just add a lens flare onto this one here. Lovely. And let's just make sure I've got my right clip selected, or the proper clip, I should say. And we'll go into the lens editor, so the flare designer. And this is where all the sort of hard work happens, all in the flare designer here. So let's just reset our zoom, maybe zoom out just a little bit so you can see that a bit better. So yeah, within the flare designer, this is where we have all of our new presets, and I can just toggle along those nice and easily. We also have our featured presets. So these are some of our favorites from releases past. So, you know, we've got, I think, 24 featured presets, which range from, you know, the highly stylized into some of the more realistic measured lens flares. And if you still can't find one that you want in there, then you can take a look at all of our flare presets. And we have, how many presets do we have now? And it's over 100, isn't it? 120 something?
It is, yes.
It's exactly 120 something, which is great. And with 120 something presets, you can find that, you know, you might want to add little favorites. So that's what these little stars are. These are some of my favorites there. So we can just kind of filter by the ones that you're going to use the most. You know, whether they're going to be some of the more flashier effects, or just some of the other little, you know, whatever sort of flare takes your fancy at the time. I'm going to start a new flare for a second, because I just want to show you something. Let's go new here. I want to show you some of the new stuff very, very quickly, and I'll tell you why I'm going to show it to you very, very quickly. Let's just add the brightness up here. There we go. So I've got my hotspot there, lovely, and I'm going to add another hotspot. So really, the new features that we have are the ability to move our flares off axis. So we can just sort of, bring it up over there. So it's not kind of exactly in line with the hotspot. So that's how it would look otherwise, be completely in line with the hotspot. So we can move it off axis, kind of cool. Let's reset that. The other thing we can do is we can change the relative speed of it as well. So let's just come in here. Let's do something like this. I'm going to just keep this relative speed at 1. Let's bring my position to there. And I'm going to just make a couple of duplicates of this. So copy that. I'm going to take my relative speed here to 2. I'll make another duplicate. Take my relative speed there to 4. And now we can see that, you know, these still have the same relationship to the hotspot. They're just moving a bit faster. Now, is this in and of itself really, really interesting and really a sort of killer new feature? In and of itself, no. But the reason that it is really, really cool and really, really useful is the fact that we can now use these to supplement what we already had with the rest of our tool set. I'm saying that these new features are going to be used by maybe 1% of the people that use lens flares. or use the Sapphire lens flare. What it does help is the people who are going deep down and designing new flares to be able to come in and get that next, that next layer of realism. And I think that's where it's going to help those people, those users. But it also helps the people who are creating these presets to create a preset, or to create flares that just really let the tools sing. So we've got, I can honestly say I've got out of these 10 flares that we have here, we have many that have now sort of just jumped straight into my top 10 of the Sapphire lens flares. And in the projects that I've been making with them, I found myself going back time and time again already to these new flares, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, Alan, what you've been very instrumental in creating some of these presets. Obviously, you're the artist on the majority of the new presets. What would you say that the new features, not just the ones we've released or added in 2021, but maybe some of the features that have come in the last year, what's that allowed you to do that you weren't able to do previously?
So I would say that, as you mentioned, it's the subtle things, but probably the only kind of in-your-face new feature that we've added recently has been the element shading, which came in last release, 2020.5. But as you can see there, a good example of that red spot getting shaded out by something. But the little things that we've been adding is just like you said, it's just the subtle things that when you put them all together, it just makes the whole flare just seem more organic and realistic and interesting. Just things that you would never notice by itself, but when all those things are combined together, you just say that one looks better, or that one looks more realistic. And that's, I think, what that's the goal now for me, is try to get as just a good feel to that flare as possible.
Yep. I absolutely agree with that. I think that's definitely been the sort of design philosophy with the flares that I've been creating, you've been creating over the past couple of releases. Is trying to get that feeling moving really, really nicely. I know we can't spend as much time on this as I really want to just in this stream, but I do want to show one little thing here, something that's really important to Sapphire lens flare as opposed to a lot of the other lens flares that are around, is the fact that we do have Mocha built directly in here to do motion tracking. So if I want to track a flare into this light here, I'm going to write flare, because that's clever. I might actually just write light, because that would be describing what I'm doing. And now the problem with this, if I were to just try to track, like do a little point track on this, what happens is at some point, our microphone stand goes across the entire area. So there's no one point that I can easily track to get rid of that. But what Mocha allows me to do is it allows me to make multiple shapes and then sort of basically cut out that shape above to create a kind of track map. So if I have this one over the top here, I'm going to call this one light stand. I'll make this as a different color. There we go. And I'll be tracking both of these. And I think we only need to track translation. So we only track position on these two. And I just want to show you what's going to happen to this. Let's do selected track mats and make this a better better color for us. There we go. So you can see that a bit easier. Maybe not actually. Let's do, there we go. Can't miss that one. And I'm just going to track this forwards. So you can see that, you know, where it would normally, if we were sort of trying to track just one single corner, this big object going over the top of it would cause us a lot of trouble, as well as the sort of smoke and the atmosphere stuff that could also cause us a bit of trouble as well. But now, oh, there we go. What's going on there? Now I say I got overly confident and took my mind off of the track for 2 seconds, and now it's causing me grief. There we go. Let's just track that forwards one more time. Oh, it's the hand, of course. That's what the hand is doing. I missed the hand. That's the other nice thing about Mocha, is that I can change my shape as we're doing. You know, I can do track mats over track mats. That'll be, look at this, hang on. This wasn't going to be what I was trying to, but this is what happens when you improvise during a live stream.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's just improvise.
So we just do that. Look at that. So I've now got track mats going over mats going over mats. So we've got 3 different types of movement, and it still should be tracking in nicely. Let's turn off the tracking on the hand, so I don't need that anymore. And I think that should be pretty good. I probably don't even need to track the microphone stand anymore either, but you know, it's going fast enough that I don't really care. And then it's just a simple case of coming in and I'll show you my hotspot. Turn the hotspot on. There's the hotspot. This is the interesting bit. This hotspot here, this is where my lens flare is going to be applied to. So I can just link this to the not the light stand, to the light itself. And that should give me a nice consistent look, or a nice consistent spot all the way through. So this is really cool. So I'm just say Mocha uses hotspot. I can make my height a lot bigger. Let's really brighten this up. And now I've just got a lens flare that not only tracks in, it moves and reacts when it gets closer to things like the edges and the center. You know, it's got a whole sort of great, you know, amount of life to it. If we have a little look here, add that one in there, the bottom there, and we can see the sort of the proper after of this one. So that's that shot when it's actually rendered out. And it's nice and easy, even if I mess up and forget to add track mats on top of track mats. Look at that, beautiful. Now there's obviously tons of stuff that we can do with lens flare, but I know we need to keep pushing forward. John has been sitting very, very patiently over in Australia. So what I'm going to do is I am going to hand over to John now, and John's going to talk to us about Ultra Zap, one of our brand new filters. So thanks for bearing with me, John, while I wax lyrical about lens flares again.
Oh, of course, Ben. I was frantically racing around behind the scenes because my camera stopped working.
Nothing's happening, Ben. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Like literally within like 5 seconds of you crossing over to me, it's like, oh, yay! So it's all working well. So I have the delight of sharing Ultra Zap with you. Obviously, being a 25-year motion graphics artist, and every time something like Ultra Zap comes along, I'm like a kid in a candy store just wanting to play with this software. And obviously, I get a chance to make presets as well. So I was able to put a bunch of presets in there and look at some of the stuff that's online and some of the famous things in famous films and see if I could replicate something that looks similar. So we'll have to take a look at that in a moment. I'm just going to share my screen. And let's get started. So I'm going to walk you through, first of all, just by applying Ultra Zap I've got a piece of footage here. This is a nice little swampy shot from Adobe Stock. So thanks to Adobe Stock for letting me use this. So I'm going to apply Ultra Zap. I'm here in After Effects just by typing Ultra Zap into my Effects and Presets panel, hitting the Enter key. And those of you who use Sapphire and who've used Zap will sort of recognize this spline here. Now, there are a few slight differences in the actual default version of the bolt, but we'll talk about the differences in a moment. Generally, what you can do is just click on the points and reshape the path, and obviously you can track these as well. There's the Mocha tracking in here as well. I just want to quickly walk you through just some of the things that have changed. First of all, we don't have a lot of time today, so we'll keep this fairly brief. One thing you'll notice over here, and this isn't present in Zap currently, is there's a structure of categories. And these have been designed in a fairly logical workflow, and it makes it so much easier to use because Ultra Zap obviously has a lot of parameters. So what you could generally do is start up in bolt structure and just design your bolt and then work your way down. I just want to quickly flick through these just to give you some idea about what is different between Ultra Zap and Zap. And under bolt structure, those of you who've used Zap will recognize a number of these parameters, but there's also things now, and these are really useful parameters, things like taper. So I can taper the start and the end of the Zap bolt. You can see as I drag that. And taper is always really great with these kind of stroke effects. And I mean, when you boil down to it, when you get right down to it, Zap really is a stroke along a path. Just a really sexy one. And we also have start and end color now. So you can change the start and the end color, which is very useful. So you can get a lot more creative with your bolt structure. It's going to undo that. We also have, under bolt animation, we have the standard wiggle, which is part of Zap. But we also now have bolt noise and bolt noise frequency. So you can have animated noise within your bolt to break it up. But there's also this terrific new loop option. And these are seamless. You can make this seamlessly loop by default without adding any keyframes. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Under bolt branchiness, branches have always been part of Zap, but once again, brand new features, things like branch color and branch width. And one of the really big new features in Ultra Zap is the fact that we can do it all over again using a secondary bolt. So bolt structure, bolt animation, and bolt branchiness have been duplicated to allow you to have a completely secondary bolt, but with all of the parameters of the primary bolt, which gives you a lot of options for creating really interesting Zap structures and Zap designs. We'll look at secondary in a moment as well. And finally, the Ultra Glow effect, which Ben will be walking you through just a little later, is bundled into Ultra Zap, which is fantastic. I'm going to show you an example with Ultra Glow in a moment, and we're also going to apply the Ultra Glow effect on top of everything after Ben's walked you through Ultra Glow. So what I'll do to sort of build a look from here is not start from the base or from the template. I'm going to, from the default settings, I'm going to apply a preset. So I'll do that by clicking on Load Preset. Just let these load up. Now what you'll notice down on the bottom here is some of the previews are text-based, and some of them, if I can get this to load up, just try that once more. Load preset. And of course it worked 10 minutes ago. Come on.
So you're cursed.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, we're
Right?
there.
See?
We're there.
See? Boom.
Tell you what, 10 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh my God, I'm going to die," if this didn't work in a demo. Now I was just thinking, okay, what can I do next? All right, restart After Effects. So that would have been my next step. But here they are. and they've loaded on my system. I probably just needed to restart my system. So notice down here, some of these thumbnails actually have text and some don't. And generally what you do here is if you wanted to apply UltraZap to some text or to a path, and I haven't shown you that option yet, which is part of UltraZap. We'll look at that in a sec. You choose one of these presets. You wouldn't generally apply one of these other presets, this one like Mad Scientist here. You wouldn't generally apply it to text without making some adjustments, because this would probably make your text just completely blown out. But there's a lot of really great presets here. I'm going to grab this one, Swamp Thing, and just click load. Okay, so if I just hit the 0 key on the keypad, just do a quick preview of a few frames. So this is the one I'm going to use on top of my swamp. I don't know if you've seen Swamp Thing, but it got axed after the first season, which was, I think, was kind of sad. But it was interesting. There was these, obviously the swamp's alive, and the vines and things come alive and they sort of grow. And I know there's no electricity in the swamp, but this look kind of reminded me of those vines with the branches that can grow. Obviously, you can do things like animate the bolt branchiness. So if you animated the branch length, you can see how the branches can grow like that. So you don't actually have to have any kind of animation in your bolt if you don't want to under the bolt animation, but you can set keyframes for other options. So you can make some really nice organic looks. I want this actually to be composited over my shot. So I'm just going to choose, instead of zap only, I'm going to choose screen. And now I've got it over top of that shot. Now I did mention that you can have zap different modes. UltraZap is a default, but you can also have zap follow a path, and we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. So let's just make a few adjustments here. Come down to, let's see, what have we got? What I might do first is just select the layer, press U on the keyboard twice in After Effects, and that will show me the parameters that have been changed from their defaults. That's a really good way when you apply a preset just to get an idea about how the preset was built. This way I know that anything that doesn't appear is still at its default settings. So I might just come and just bring down the curve amplitude a little bit. And remember, we have a secondary bolt as well. You can see the secondary bolt has been set to 2. You can have as many bolts as you want. If I bring that down to 0, then that removes that secondary bolt, and it doesn't look quite as interesting. You can see how that secondary bolt really adds interest. And notice how I've actually made the secondary bolt slightly less wide, and I've also made it slightly light green, so you can add a lot of detail and complexity. And I've also changed the branchiness. So the branch length for the secondary bolt is slightly different from the branch length of the primary bolt. So having that two sets of bolts and being able to have multiple versions of those, or multiple bolts for each one, allows you to come up with these really good looks. And listen, this only took me 20 minutes to create this look. It was so super easy to create. So let's see. Let's come down, and I just want to come up to my magnifying glass here to search. I'm just going to type in curve. And that way I can solo, if I can just make this a little bit bigger. See, I can solo the curve amplitude for both bolts. And if you wanted to have one match the other, for whatever reason, you just grab your pick whip for your expression and just link one to the other, just like that. So now they're both got the same curve amplitude. Now that's a really good idea if you want to match the bolts in After Effects. And if I wanted to go the other way, obviously I just grab that and do that as well. Same for something like branchiness. Come down to branch, and you can see I've got all of my primary and secondary branchiness, and you can see they're slightly different. If I wanted to have that the same, I could just come up and just drag that like that. Really nice way to set up your bolts. I actually kind of like the setup where they look really quite similar, but not completely the same. And one thing you can do is get them looking fairly, get them looking quite similar, and then come in and just type in seed, and then just change the random seed. You can see I've got the random seed for each of them that is different. If I make that the same, they should look a little more, so you can see how that brings that. I've obviously got some settings that are slightly different, but that will bring that. If all the settings were the same for each one, if you have the same random seed, then you're basically getting an identical bolt. But it's nice to be able to make some subtle adjustments and then come in and then just play with the seed and further fine-tune the look of the bolt. So I could go in now. Let's just say that I like this look. I might just come up here and bring that up. I'm going to come up to my control points and just turn off my intermediate control points. And that way I can have a nice straight line. I'm going to bring that up to here, like this. Just have that sort of floating over the water. And one thing I can do, because I use Boris effects, is I can use continuum and use the reflection effect. Just double click that. And that will add a reflection. I can just bring that down. Give myself some space here. And should be able to bring that down like that. I don't want it blurry, so let's see. Come down to reflection style, decrease the softness, and come down to ripple, because this is on water, and just increase the ripple amount. Just let that kick in.
Oh, love it, John. I mean, let me jump in for a second and just talk about Zap. I mean, Zap's obviously one of my favorite Sapphire effects. It's just fantastic. And why is it one of my favorite effects? It's really about the quality of the image that Zap produces. I don't know if you guys can see on the stream, but like what really has made Zap like a legendary Sapphire effect is really that beautiful anti-aliasing on some of those fine branches. Really sets it apart from some other ways you can
very much so.
Create electricity. It's why you see Zap's been used in countless features, back in the day to, Yoda's Force Lightning and Attack of the Clones, all the way up to, Wonder Woman and, a lot of the DC movies that involved, so much lightning. It's a great kind of, quick, fast and dirty, but yet beautiful, like electricity effect. And from someone who's demoed Zap for years, I will say, the parameter layout is quite large, right? Quite large. And what I love about Ultra Zap is what you showed at the beginning, which is, the team did such a great job as to organizing the parameters into a like guided workflow, a real kind of top-down approach as to how to create an electricity effect. And definitely when you kind of jump in later to putting this stuff on paths, that's going to become real apparent how useful that is to not have to hop around in the stack. Like when we were early demoing these, both Ben and I were both really kind of noticing that we were just jumping back and forth to these parameters that were so far apart. Putting those together is just a real nice little subtle touch that I think everyone out there who uses Ultra Zap will enjoy. That what kind of makes sense and what should make sense is all put together, and it's just the nature of
definitely.
Zap. Zap's been around for quite a long time, and features have been added, and it's just like anything else, right? It just kind of becomes very like large and bloated, and so it was great to kind of go through and clean it up and kind of add a more logical approach to Zap. To Ultra Zap, I should say.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree, Brian. And once you've used Ultra Zap, you kind of don't want to really go back to Zap. I mean, Zap has some features in Ultra that Ultra Zap doesn't have at the moment, but these new features, like the ones that Brian just mentioned, the really beautiful fine branchiness and the taper. And look at this, I've actually got some really nice glows on here, which we'll look at in a moment. But that's now working with the BCC reflection. For some reason in the other comp, it was just taking a while to update. But you can see how that ripple in the reflection is now in the water there. So
Beautiful.
It's a really nice look. I'm going to switch back across to Ben now, and when we come back, we'll look at how we can apply this to text, and look at a bunch of other things as well.
Thanks, John. Sorry, Ben, Brian, go for it.
I just want to answer a couple quick questions first. A couple people on YouTube asking about 3D. Currently, Zap is a 2D effect, right? So it's only going to work in 2D on a 2D layer. But if you're thinking about Zap in 3D, we are of the same mind, and so we are definitely, like any sort of effect, always looking to improve upon it. If I was a betting man, definitely 3D support could be something I could see happening in the future. Also, someone wanted a good question. Rob wanted to know, will like UltraZap and UltraGlow come to optics in the future? And that is a yes as well. We'll bring these features into the embedded Sapphire inside optics, which is a Photoshop plugin as well. So no timeline on that yet, but definitely plans to add this stuff to optics in Photoshop.
Can I just add one thing while we're talking about the 3D, because
sure.
One of the things that I haven't found that the lack of 3D has hampered me too much in what I was trying to do when I was creating loads of examples to do the UltraZap launch, because there's a couple of things that actually help you kind of cheat a bit more, especially if you're working on real footage. The fact that you've got Mocha embedded into UltraZap as well means that you can track the points of UltraZap, or the control points of UltraZap into the footage, into your landscape, and just by having that sort of motion, that gives you a bit of a 3D look, and couple that with the customizable tapers as well, and that gives you another way of trying to sort of cheat the fact that you have stuff going in front of the camera or going back out into the distance. There are ways of cheating it at the moment, even though it's not truly 3D like Zap is. So that was just a little thing.
And Lightning's I agree, Ben. Lightning is such a sort of organic thing as well. There's it's something that you can cheat quite easily, especially as you say with the taper settings.
Yep. I think it's I think you're not going to be missing out on a lot straight away. I think it's I've been using it a lot, obviously, and there's just so much you can do, so much creative stuff that you can do. I just wish we had a couple of hours just to do UltraZap, which leads me onto a couple of things. Like the king of segues.
What a
I know, it's great. Thursday, we will be doing another live stream, which is going to be fully request oriented. We have absolutely zero schedule for what we're going to be talking about on Thursday. So join us with requests and questions for all access, all request Thursday. We're going to have
I have no graphic for that.
Team. No, you don't. Oh, for God's sake.
No, I
so
agree.
Mission Control fails again.
Yeah, no. But to your point, no, seriously, like we joke, obviously, I should have had a nice, pretty graphic, but Thursday is going to be awesome. We've been doing these live streams for a bit now, right? And let me pop into my nice co-op. Oh no, now I'm just a mess. All right, I just want to say that, like, so we've obviously taken tons of questions, and sometimes people ask us to do things that is completely off script. Like today we're talking about Sapphire, but somebody may have some PI questions they threw in the chat, or they may want to know about Continuum. That's why we're excited about this coming Thursday. There's really no plan. We're just gonna have a bunch of us together. We're going to have a bunch of basically different product specialists for each of the different products with a bunch of different host apps. So we're going to try and cover all bases. If you want to see something in Vegas, we'll have Vin on, right? Vin can handle that. If you want to see something in optics, like Ben can jump into optics. Want to have just a general After Effects question, you can ask John as well. We'll have Mary with us from Mocha. We'll have Ross. as well. So it's really going to be exciting. Sometimes I've felt bad when people ask about like, oh my God, I really want to see Fusion, you know, and I'm like, well, we have nothing prepared in Fusion today. You know, so this is going to be a great kind of place for really to do a true live stream with no real agenda and just kind of have fun, right?
Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, and the great thing about Thursday is we won't have anything prepared for anything, so it's all going to be off the cuff. But I also want to talk about something you do have a graphic for.
Yes, I do.
Come on.
Here
we go. You know what I want to talk about.
Boom.
I want to talk about our sale has been extended for Black Friday with up to 50% off of all products. So that is 50% off of new permanent bundles, 25% off of all other new products. That includes subscriptions, renewals, and single licenses as well. As ever, full terms and conditions can be found on the boriseffects.com website. So, yeah, don't hesitate. The Black Friday sale is not going to be extended forever. The race is on. The clock is ticking. Speaking of clocks ticking, the clock is ticking to join the competition as well, where you can win a year's subscription of the Boris Effects suite. So that is everything that we have, including Sapphire that we're seeing today, Continuum, Mocha, Optics, and of course, Silhouette. So to win there, go to boriseffectslive.com, go down to the bottom of the page, and you will find out all of the terms and conditions for the competition as well. Getting quickly, the time is ticking very, 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 very quickly on that as well. All right, so without any further ado, I am going to take a look now at Ultraglow. And if I press my toggle button there, we should see Ultraglow back in After Effects. All right, so anyone who's worked with Sapphire before knows that Glow is a classic Sapphire effect. Some have called it the crown jewel of Sapphire effect. The reason is because it is fast, it is gorgeous, very, very smooth and organic looking glow. So we decided, what are we going to do to make Glow even better? We can't muck about with S-Glow. You know, this is far, far too well loved. If we make any sort of change to this, you know, it would be, you know, very, very bad. I'm trying to not use the word treason, but it would be treasonous. So instead, what we did is we went back to the drawing board and created Ultraglow. Now, Ultraglow is an evolution of Glow. So it's basically taking the heart of Sapphire's Glow and expanding it into this gorgeous monster with 5 hearts. Now that didn't make the promotional copy, because I'm not sure that is a great marketing thing.
Wow.
I might need to work on my metaphors a little bit there. But what better way to work on my metaphors than going into the presets? Because I think this is something that like John showed you with UltraZap, we spent a lot of time creating presets to sort of start to show off what Ultraglow can do. So we've got things like, you know, just basically straight up glows, and we've got ways of creating much more stylistic effects as well. Stuff that works on text and stuff that works on video as well. So I'm just I'll take Icy Sparkle. This looks mad. So I'm gonna just hit load on this. And again, this just looks huge. This is a really big effect. Now, one of the things that has been really important to us with these presets is to be able to make sure that, you know, you can get the look that you want out of these presets by just touching a couple of parameters. So on this one, all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my threshold up just a little bit, and maybe I'll take the brightness up or down just a little bit to try and get the look that I want. And that's it. And we've got this, you know, this big bushy glow going really, really quickly. If I don't like that effect, or I don't think that's, you know, suitable for what I'm trying to do, we've got other ones that are going to look good on text as well. Let's take one of our neon ones. I think, John, this is one of yours, isn't it, John? I believe.
Yeah, it looks great, so it must be mine.
Look at that. And again, you know, all we have to do is we have to play a little bit with the threshold, maybe play a little bit with the brightness, and it's going to fit in with our footage as well. You know, we're trying to sort of make these as flexible as possible. So if I'm going to just reset this, because obviously Ultra Glow looks great on text. I'm going to go in and what have I got here? Have I got Premiere open? I think I've still got Premiere open. I do. So what I'm going to do here instead, let's just play back some of the stuff, is just have a look at what we can do with Ultra Glow on video as well. So when we're using this on actual video, we can use this in a number of different ways, either to create sort of like subtle optical diffusion, or to go for, you know, much bigger effects. So it works on, you know, motion graphics, works on video, works everywhere. It is an absolute, you know, it's a you know, stalwart effect. So let's come in and what do I have here? Actually, let's go back into After Effects, because I've got more stuff with After Effects. Here we go. I'll take my guy dancing in a club. So I've got nothing on. I've turned my Ultra Glow off. So I'm going to start with a preset, as I want to do, and then we can just take a little look through the workflow. Now, I do usually start with a preset because we have so many presets that are going to do, you know, lots of different things, that there's probably going to be one that's going to help to do what you want it to do. And if you're ever, you know, sort of lost about where you want to go to, I would recommend, if you don't want the default one, then you would head over to Panther. 70% of the time, it works every time. So let's turn this one on. And again, all we have to do here is come in, make sure I turn my effect on so you can actually see what it's doing. Yeah, so all we have to do here is come in and let's, why is this not doing anything that I want it to do? Just going to reset this, put Ultra Glow back on. There we go. Now I know that I haven't messed about with it. So let's load a preset up.
Plenty of time to do the Panther joke again. I mean,
oh no, my Panther. Look, it's not even a Panther joke. It's written in the description. It's the first line of the description. It's right there.
You wrote it.
I wrote it. I didn't. I stole it. It's a difference between writing something and stealing it. I'm going to do this one instead, which looks. This is my optical streaks, and I really like this one. But as you can see, when we've got it on,
too much, Ben.
When we've got it on footage, it might get a little bit overwhelming, which again is why I'm going to just mess about with these two properties: threshold, brightness. That's all we have to do to sort of tame the beast and get that into a sort of workable kind of area. And this is going to give us, you know, a great sort of starting point to go with. Now, just like with UltraZap, we've got a whole new workflow going down for Ultra Glow as well. So this sort of breaks down to looking at primary glow, afterglow, which is huge, and then the nice fiddly bits, edges, atmosphere, and highlights, which come in and give the glow a bit more life. So primary glow feels like the regular glow. We've got things like brightness and threshold, and be able to change the color of the glow. Let's, what should we do here? Let's give it should we give it a cyan, or we'll actually go and sort of boost the pinkness of this up a little bit. There we go. So this feels like the regular S glow, except we have these two new parameters, which are the fall off and the bias. And what the fall off and the bias allow us to do, if we start to fiddle around with these, is it allows us to change how that glow starts to fall off, how far away it goes from the hot spot, and then the bias towards that hot spot as well. So we can get some really, really hot glows by playing around by adjusting carefully the fall off and the bias here. This is really, really good to work with text or with motion graphics, which we'll see in just a little bit. But really, the king of all of this is actually the afterglow. I'm going to turn the afterglow down to 0, and I'm just going to adjust my fall off just a little bit more, so you can sort of see that moving closer towards the edge. There we go. Change the bias there. Now we've got a nice looking glow. I'll take my stretch and just put that to let's reset that a second. And let's take my width there down to 1. So we've just got everything fairly straightforward here. Almost reset. And I'm just going to come into the afterglow. Now the afterglow is a secondary glow that happens on top of our primary one. And it's not just the same as putting, two glows on top of each other. It's doing something a little bit different, a little bit smarter. But take a look at what's happening as I spread that afterglow out. We're getting this really huge, soft looking glow happening. I'll take all of this other stuff down to 0. So we've got the afterglow width, which just gives us this little, sort of halation type effect, which is nice. Then we have afterglow stretch X and Y, which then extends that out either horizontally. Take a look at what's happening down here with the ball down there. So that's at 0. As I get closer to 1 there. So that's looking really nice, extending over him. And then we have our streaks as well. So on top of our stretches, I can add some streaks here as well, and take a look at what that's doing to our image. This is absolutely gorgeous. I believe I used that line in the promo video. Maybe I said simply gorgeous, but the fact is, Ultra Glow is simply gorgeous. It is doubt my favorite new effect, and I can say that because I've used it in pretty much everything I've touched since we started working on it. And it's even got things like atmosphere, so I can add in things like atmosphere. Let's bring the atmosphere amplitude up so we can see that. So it looks a little bit horrible because I've turned it up too high. So I'm going to take my atmosphere frequency down. I'm going to take the detail down as well. Take that down really quite low, and I'll take the amplitude down as well. And now what I can get, actually, let's take these up a little bit, because we can start. We've got full compositing controls over the atmosphere with the lights and darks, and here we can start to sort of get a bit more of a smoky sort of feeling, or misty feeling, depending on what your footage is. So that's starting to quite nice. Let's just do a look at the before, boo, and the after, yay. And we've checked. One of the big things is to check when all of these presets were made, go back to this one here, is to make sure that this stuff looks good on different types of footage as well. So all you have to do to get started with Ultraglow really is to just load a preset up and then start just by adjusting the threshold and brightness, and then take it from there. There's so much stuff that you can do. We haven't really looked at the edges, but let me have a little look, or let you show you what I've got just with me taking this here. This is my starting point. I just wanted to see what I could do by adding in a few Sapphire effects. So all I had was the main render, and I had my depth map, and so I started to use those with some color things here, just to add in a little bit of color, obviously, to my weird organic structure. And then I decided I could crank that up a little bit, and I did that by adding in a whole ton of Ultraglow and using one of my favorite effects from 2020.5, which is free lens. But the main star here obviously is Ultraglow, just glowing all that stuff in the background for me, just creating this sort of really nice soft look. And also we have Ultraglow at the front, picking up all of the highlights on these lights and making it look as if they're sort of radioactive and glowing. And it's a, I did a similar trick with, where are we here? With this one as well. I've been playing around with fractals a little bit to see what I could start to do. Same sort of thing. Had a color render, a depth render, and then I wanted to see what I could do with Ultraglow. And this is one of the things. I thought, okay, that's pretty nice. I thought, okay, maybe I'll try something different. It didn't work as well. And then I said, what can I do here? And I decided I'd land on this one. And this one sort of has that, a lot of the big afterglow plus a lot of the atmosphere as well. So we can see that there. Now, I can talk about Ultraglow for a long, long time. We can't talk about Ultraglow for a long, long time because the clock is ticking and we need to get back to UltraZap. So I'm going to, kind of hand back over to John in just a moment. I actually think I've got some good news to give someone. And we're going to sort of carry on with that. But Brian, you've been looking at chat. Have there been any Ultraglow questions in chat?
No, just a lot of people, rightfully so, kind of jaw-dropping at your visuals. Very cool stuff, Ben. Great examples. I do want to give away the Boris Effect Suite right now, though, because
I want to do that as well. I want to do that as well.
So, without further ado,
who's the lucky winner?
Congratulations.
It's Jesse Cherniak.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jesse.
Great job, Jesse. Great job. Jesse wins 12 months of the Boris Effect Suite, which is every single thing we make, right? Sapphire, the new Sapphire 2021, the new Continuum 2021, the new Mocha Pro 2021 with Power Mesh, Silhouette 2020.5, and Optics. So very cool. Congratulations, Jesse. And Jesse's in the chat for once. Finally, someone wins who's present in the chat.
Yay.
So, great job, Jesse.
Well
Congratulations. Love it. Love it. We'll be in touch with you in a few days, Jesse, and get you your license. Cool.
Excellent stuff.
Yes. All right. Let's keep it going. Let's get to my favorite part of UltraZap, right? I'm gonna kick it over to John.
Cool. Let's just jump straight back into UltraZap. So I'll just click across to the screen here. So I had a bit of time while Ben was talking just to work out what I'd done wrong. Obviously, I've applied UltraZap to this swamp layer, and I was looking in here and thinking, why am I reflecting the water as well? It's because I've applied the BCC reflection effect to the background shot as well, which has reflected everything. What I needed to do was just take both of these and just take them off that, apply them to a new solid, and just paste that in there, just like that, and come down to my, just twirl these up, come down to my composite. It's going to control click to close that, then open it again. That closes all of the twirlies. Come down to composite and choose, instead of screen, choose zap only. So now I should be seeing, now you can see I can see my zap on my water, and I'm not reflecting my swamp scene as well. I'm only reflecting the zap on the water. So yeah, I looked at that and thought, ooh, that didn't look very good at all. So we've set up a base look. I just wanted to, now that Ben's talked about Ultra Glow, just come down and just once again point out that Ultra Glow is part of Ultra Zap, which is fantastic. So I just wanted to make a few adjustments to that. One of them was to just click on Glow Highlights just down here, and that will have my glow just glow on the brightest parts of my zap. And I can change the frequency so I can have more highlights along there. I can also change the glow threshold as Ben was presenting. That's obviously way too much. Notice also when I bring that a little brighter that we're starting to see that smokiness. That's the atmosphere down in here. And obviously, you know, swamp, creatures, that sort of thing, the atmosphere would be quite an important part of that. So that's just adding Ultra Glow inside of Ultra Zap. I can play with the width and the glow brightness and just make some adjustments to that. I actually got a one over on my finished version, which looks like this, just with a few more adjustments. And what I like to do is not just be limited by using Ultra Glow inside of Ultra Zap, although it's not a limitation, obviously, but because we have Ultra Glow as a separate effect, I can use that on an adjustment layer above everything. So I'm a big fan of using adjustment layers in After Effects, especially when I'm doing composites, to bring layers together a little bit more. So I wanted to apply Ultra Glow to everything, not just the zap, but also the swamp as well. So with Ultra Glow applied to an adjustment layer, I'm just going to turn that on, I get that look. So, and that is obviously affecting some of the areas of the background as well. Not as much because the background's darker, but it does apply a little bit of glow across everything. So it gives it more of a sort of spooky glowing look. And even though we have Ultra Glow as part of Ultra Zap, you can see there's the Ultra Glow there and there. Being able to use a second version of Ultra Glow on top of everything gives that even more spooky glowing look, which is really nice. You can see when it goes really bright, everything brightens up. See how the actual atmosphere brightens up as well? It's all getting really bright. So we get this kind of look. Just brightening up the water. So that's a really nice look, and you know, I could save that as a preset and use that at any time. But what if I wanted to apply this to text? Now, as Ben was mentioning, with Ultra Glow, some presets, when you apply them to certain layers, will give you results that aren't quite expected. They'll be a little bit too strong. If I was to select my Ultra Zap, just turn off my Ultra Glow for a moment, and come down to my, just close this up again, just come down to my mode and change from Ultra Zap to Ultra Zap AE Path. Now this is an After Effects feature. If I choose that, now it's going to disappear. What I need to do, and this can be a little bit of a got you when you apply it. You might think, oh, I can apply Ultra Zap to my solid layer, and then I can choose text, and it'll just apply it to whatever text is in the comp, and that's not the case. What I need to do is copy that. I'm just going to copy this text. Turn it on. And just going to remove this and this. There's my Swamp Thing text. I'm going to paste it. So now I've taken all those settings for Ultra Zap and I've applied it to the text layer. And it's taking a little bit of time because the settings are so, whoa, see what I mean? So even though that looked great as a separate zap, ultra zap bolt, or sorry, in ultra zap mode, it looks terrible on text. So you'd have to go in and make some adjustments to that. And that's what I did. I applied it to the text, and you can see when it's only in ultra zap mode, you can see it's much more subtle. Far fewer branches, far less glow. And now when I choose ultra zap AE path, watch what happens. So now I can get that kind of Swamp Thing look, but I can have it on text. And you see how with the highlights selected, I'm getting glows in certain areas and get that sort of smoky atmosphere on the text there. Let's just turn on, let's see, we'll turn on reflections on. We still got that on. We'll turn on Ultra Glow. So that's our Ultra Glow adjustment layer on top. And now we're getting that nice glow across everything, but we're still getting those highlights as part of the Ultra Glow in the Ultra Zap layer, which is really nice. I like this, gives us a really nice all over glow. So I can have my highlights and my cake as well. And obviously Ultra Glow has its own highlights option as well, so I could turn that on if I wanted to. I'm just going to preview a few frames of this because obviously it has to apply zap to every single letter, or Ultra Zap I should say. So now we've got that kind of jiggling sort of Swamp Thing. So you can take presets that aren't designed for text, make some adjustments, and make them work for text. But if you wanted to use a preset that was designed specifically for text, if I just come in and let's see, load preset. We're going to grab one that I created that was designed specifically for text. Let's see if my presets don't take an hour to load. There we go. That's good. That's how it should be. I'm going to click on this one here, Dual Bolt Fire, and click load. Okay, so it comes in as an Ultra Zap path. All I've got to do is choose Ultra Zap AE path. There we go. So I might just, for this sake of the demo, just solo that. And when I preview this, notice how the zap bolts are running around the text. And this is one of the wonderful things about the new option for, having the options for text and paths. You can see I can choose not only to follow text, but I can also follow selected path or all paths if I've created some masks inside of After Effects. But having the looping feature allows us to loop around paths and text, which is really terrific. And by default, with the bolt animation, you can see that my loop, where is it, loop speed, I've got it set to -1 so they go in reverse. But if I set it to 1 or -1, I'll get 1 full revolution over 1 second. So you can do the math to make that either faster or slower. I definitely recommend watching my Ultra Zap tutorial, which we just released recently, for a little more information about that. And you just notice here, if I just zoom in, there's my main bolt, this straight one. So my curve and my wrinkle is really low, like almost none. So I've got a straight bolt, which looks like just a stroke. I've got a nice thick start and a nice fine tapered end. And then I've got my secondary bolt, which is finer and more wrinkle and more curve and a little bit longer in length. And I've got it going from orange to red. So as I mentioned in my first section, you can have the bolts doing generally the same thing, but with just some slight subtle differences. And their loop is set to the same settings. So one is following right along with the other, but it's a little longer and looking slightly different, which gives you that really nice detailed stroke and lightning bolt moving around the text. And then of course, if I turn on my Ultra Glow, it's going to change the color somewhat because now my Ultra Glow is set to green. So I'd want to come down to Swamp Thing and just type in color. And then I'd come down and, I'd come in and start sort of, playing with the colors. I won't go and do them all now. I'll just bring them all to, some of them to green. You can see I start to bring them to green and bring that to match the look. These are all going to be the same green, which is fairly flat. Wouldn't necessarily do that. You can see how I can recolorize that. So I just want to show you one more example. And this is something I set up yesterday before we switch back across to Ben. Just this one here. This is using another preset that I created called Mad Scientist. I just whipped up something in Cinema 4D, just whipped up this model and just quickly rendered out a frame from Redshift. But it gives you an idea. If I just do a quick preview. So I've got the Mad Scientist preset at the top, just using the Ultra Zap mode. And you can see I've got Ultra Glow on there, and I've got these nice horizontal streaks coming out. Ben just showed you the streaks on his footage. And I've also got another version of Ultra Zap down here, and this one's following a couple of After Effects paths. So I'm just having them looping. You can see they're sort of coming down the path and they're looping around. So the idea is obviously that the electricity is being generated and it's coming down here and it's coming down and powering the whatever thing the Mad Scientist is powering. Let me just preview a couple of frames of that, just like that. You can add in all your buzz sound effects there. You can see I've got a little bit of flicker on here, a little bit of flicker in here. I did some really simple After Effects compositing because I was having some problem rendering out of Redshift. I couldn't actually render out my passes, so I had to do the next best thing, which was just grab my shot, add the Ultra Zap, add a bit of Ultra Glow on top of that, as you can see up in here. Add my secondary Ultra Zap, which is coming along these paths. Then duplicate the image and then just mask it over the top of that. Just going through this fairly quickly, so I just masked it over the top. Then to create my light effects, just grabbed a solid layer with Sapphire flicker on, and that's just this mauve color. So Sapphire flicker just flickers that on and off like it's a flickering light. So that made it look like, you know, and I've just keyframed that actually, so that when the zap was actually in frame, it turned on, and when the zap moved out, it turned off. So just put that on top of that, a little bit more Ultra Glow on top of that, and same up here, a little bit of the colorization on a solid with some masks, just to make it look like there was some light being generated on the sides of these objects, and a little hot spot up on the top here, and a little bit of Ultra Glow on top of that. So the finished result was this. Just come back to the Mad Scientist again. But really fun to be able to, and I put a little bit of film damage actually on that as well. So a little bit of Sapphire film damage, just to give that a bit of a spooky sort of, you know, B science horror film kind of look. So everything I needed, I could just jump into Sapphire and grab just to make that shot look really nice. And that's just a still image, which I've added a little bit of scale to using a couple of scale keyframes. So you can see how you can really juice that image up just by using Ultra Zap with a few Sapphire effects. So that's really Ultra Zap.
John. That's really great.
Yeah,
very cool.
Thanks, mate.
Very
It's
cool.
it's a lot of fun to play with. So you even got a little bit of noise in there from the Sapphire old film damage, which is really nice. But look at that flick. See how that S flicker on the cable? It looks like the bolt is projecting light, but it's actually not. And down here, there's not even any alpha channel. It's all on black. So I've just used the color. Just show you very quickly. I've just used the color blend mode on this to make sure that this works on black and just colorizes everything that's not black. So, you know, I can always go through and do a more long form tutorial if there's interest in that, and we can walk through this in more detail. But that's Ultra Zap, something you've really got to get in front of you and have a good play with.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, one of the things that is really difficult to do with these live streams is to give a true sense of what you can start to, you know, actually achieve with these once you start to, you know, properly play around and get in front of it. Because, you know, having a little look at the sort of parameters is one thing, but actually getting your hands on it and, you know, diving into it yourself, that's something else. That's where the art comes in.
Yeah, totally. And I have to say, doing it, creating all this yesterday, playing around with it. I didn't get any crashes or anything like that. So it's pretty solid effect.
I mean, something we haven't even really touched on is the fact that Ultra Zap and Ultra Glow are also available in Builder, right? So,
Of course, yeah.
Right. It's almost like we've been having so much fun playing around with these just natively in After Effects. Haven't even wrapped our heads around the implications of, you know, anytime we add something in Sapphire, it gets put inside Builder, and that really really kind of blows my head apart with what you can do with an effect like Ultra Zap and Ultra Glow combined with infinite zoom, combined with free lens like you did, Ben, you know, like really can create some kind of mind-bending effects with some of the new tools.
Yep, totally.
That's it. Well, I mean, that's one of the other things we didn't really talk about. We talked about, you know, some of the presets for lens flare, Ultra Zap, and Ultra Glow, but you know, Builder's had another couple of presets as well, or you know, a few presets added to this version. You know, some of those are using Ultra Glow to, you know, tie everything together because, you know, as I think as John showed, you know, Ultra Glow is probably the glue that holds together a load of these other effects. So having it available in Builder, where you're designing your own effects, you know, it does add that little extra something just to make sure that everything wraps together and looks like it's one cohesive effect.
Love the looping. Love looping in Ultra Zap too. You know, that's just such a cool feature, right? Like to be.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it? I mean, you saw how I could do it around text, but then you know, in this mad scientist thing, how you can have it like electric bolts just sort of looping and without having to really do very much. I didn't have to set any keyframes for that. It was just set the loop speed. That's it.
Well, Brian, can you just cut to my screen for a second? Sure. Is that's doable?
I think even I can figure that out.
Look at that.
No,
because
kinda.
Is that the right screen, Ben?
There you go.
It's the right screen. It's the right screen. Hopefully, it's the right screen. Because building on that, you know, that's all of these different effects have been made possible basically by that same offset command going across. You know, if you've got lots of different types of paths, you know, all of this came from Mocha paths just exported out. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, lightning bolt effects. There's a lot of ways of recycling and reusing data that you've already got and already created using that offset. You know, this is some really fun little examples of that there.
Joel had a question in YouTube. Are all Sapphire effects available in 32-bit? And that's a big yes. Sapphire is full floating point at its core, so really don't have to worry about any resolution limits or bit depth limits with Sapphire. We have seen some crazy people use Sapphire at the After Effects Max, which I believe is around 32K. I can't say that renders quickly, right? But it does render. And so if that's the good part about Sapphire is no limitations on quality for any of the effects. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff.
Cool.
All right. So just to recap, we went over a little metal. Let me jump back into the quad box here. So
let's jump back.
Sapphire 2021, right? Metal support, super exciting, right? For all Mac users, definitely excited about new hardware coming down the pipe. Sapphire is definitely setting itself up nice for some of that new M1 Apple Silicon coming next year with metal support. New lens flares, new effects, Ultra Zap and Ultra Glow. Fantastic stuff. Definitely a must-have update in my opinion. And it's on sale, right? Not to get too salesy.
How could this be?
Right?
How could this be?
Yeah, now's the time. 25% off Sapphire right now and 50% off bundles. If there are any Sapphire Mocha fans out there, I suggest looking at the Sapphire Mocha bundle, which is like inherently Mocha for free with the 50% off. It's a very small increase to add Mocha to Sapphire when you take 50% off that bundle versus 25% off the subscription of the permanent license. So that is a really kind of cool upgrade. I've been talking to a lot of flame artists this weekend who are taking advantage of that Sapphire Mocha bundle. Very popular in that world for the OFX bundles as well. So definitely go to borisfx.com if you have any questions. And
full terms and conditions available at borisfx.com.
Terms and conditions. Or definitely, chat us up on Intercom. If you go to borisfx.com, a little chat window will pop up if you guys have any questions about the offerings. We definitely have a large, complex offering. So don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. That's the end of my sales. Spiel.
Well, I think it's all that is left for me to say then is to thank everyone that we have here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Brian, for
coming,
making
everyone.
it all happen.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank
welcome.
you everyone for joining us on this Boris Effects Live event. You won't have to wait very long for the next one, because the next one is Thursday, 3 days.
Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong.
No. So this just to recap what Thursday is going to be, we have got a group of product specialists from Boris Effects to come in. No preparation at all. We are literally going to be, flying by the seat of our pants, and just basically taking all requests that people have. So get your requests in. Join us on boriseffectslive.com, and you can also subscribe to us on YouTube or any of our social media outlets.
What time Thursday, Ben? What time on Thursday?
That's an amazingly good question. I do believe it is the same bat time and same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel. 4:00 Eastern Standard Time.
So yes, we are all looking forward to it very, very much. I am looking forward to doing no prep for the next few days, and then just loading up my system and seeing what happens. So thank you everyone for now, and we will see you again on Thursday. So from me, Ben Brownlee, and from the rest of the team, have a very good rest of the day, and see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.